So we have our first question from the audience from Damim Arts.
No.
So Mama's question. The point of Reclaim Our Narratives is so important. Do you think post-colonial writers and now colonial writers have reclaimed those voices? What can we do to amplify those voices?
I think that's a great question that I don't necessarily have all the answers to. I don't know why she would just like, she's a lawyer, by the way, so I'm very upset that she's just interrogating me on the spot. But I think that in terms of post-colonial writing is what inspires me and what kind of got me into writing. I think a lot of the realizations, going back to our earlier conversation, a lot of my realizations around what was racism and what was white violence happening in my largely brown country came from taking classes in post-colonial literature and reading post-colonial authors that kind of helped me see what they were, what it was, what white violence was, and how we were perpetuating it. So I think that, you know, in terms of post-colonial authors, Caribbean authors, I think we have always been putting our stories out there. I think that now there is much more of an interest around a lot of our work. You're seeing a lot of big name authors like Marlon James and Nicole Dennis Benn kind of coming into the forefront. And I hope that they will, I see them using their platforms to kind of amplify other West Indian voices. Right now, I have a old primary school friend who just won a major writing award in Trinidad, Amanda Chukwan, who's saying, you know, I want to use my platform to amplify Caribbean voices. And the problems that she's very big on is that so many of us feel like we have to leave the country and get established in Britain or the US or Europe to kind of get that platform and get those voices, when really we should be able to kind of foster that within our community. If before COVID hit, I was supposed to go to a workshop in Jamaica called Pre, and it would have been the first time I was going to a Caribbean writing workshop with Caribbean authors, because I started writing when I was in college in America, and I was writing about Trinidad and about my experiences of colonialism without getting a chance to really share it with people who got what I was talking about. And sometimes they were just like, oh, all you talk about is Trinidad. And I'm like, well, that's who I am. I mean, it's the first 18 years of my life were spent there that shaped me as a person. Why can't that be important? I don't know if that answered the question. I was wrong. But.
Well, I want to go back to something you said, because you quickly mentioned a few Caribbean writers, for example, Marlon James. Can you repeat those in case anybody was trying to like take note of those?
Yeah, I only mentioned right now, I mentioned Marlon James and Nicole Dennis Benn because they've had such huge recent hits, but there are, I mean, so many other people that I can name. Shivani Ramlo Chan is a Trinidadian poet that I've been really, really into. There's, not sure if it's Malika or Malika Booker, Lauren K. Allen, Kai Miller, just so many names I can't even come up with on the spot.
Okay, so we should be able to Google, you know, one of these names and be exposed to then a lot of other names. You know, the internet is a great place to find new people and new information that you're maybe not familiar with. So thank you for that. Next question. What can you describe the relationship between white violence and white narratives?
Well, as I said, I think in this case, there are lots of things that can qualify as violence that aren't kicking, punching, slapping, lynching. I think erasure, a lot of times like I said, we have people co-opting our narratives, and a lot of times you also see people caricaturing, making caricatures of us in their very flat depictions of us, and that enforces negative stereotypes that can lead to us being harmed. And other times they just leave us out of history together. And I always say erasure is violence, which is why reclaiming a narrative is important to me.
Okay, cool.